Dathan and Aviram, the Maral Diskin goes and explains that, first of all, tries to clarify, wait a minute. If Dathan and Aviram did not want to leave Egypt, why didn't they die in the plague of darkness, in Makas Choshech? And Reb Chaim Kanievsky adds a question on this. We know that during the plague of darkness, the Makas Choshech, the Egyptians were not able to move, right? In the final stages, they were stuck, they were frozen over there. But the Pasuk tells us that Paro called Moshe Rabbeinu. How did he call Moshe Rabbeinu? How was he able to call Moshe? He was frozen in place. How did he call Moshe Rabbeinu to come and end this plague? And the answer, says Reb Chaim Kanievsky, that it was Dathan and Aviram were usually hanging around near Paro, and they served as his advisors. So they didn't have the plague of darkness. So Paro starts screaming, anybody here? Dathan Aviram says, hey, what's up? What's going on? He says, call Moshe Rabbeinu. And they went and they called Moshe Rabbeinu. So ask again, the Maral Diskin, what happened? These are Dathan and Aviram. These are not good people, right? They were, they eventually joined Korach and they eventually died in that. But they were not the best. They caused a lot of difficulties for Moshe Rabbeinu. They're the ones that told on Moshe Rabbeinu when he killed the Egyptian and he had to escape Egypt, that when he was a prince, there was problems after problems. Why did they survive? How did they survive? They should have been one of the first to go. Explains the Maral Diskin. He brings this answer from a medrash that Dathan and Aviram, they were the policemen. They were the level above where all the other Jewish people are, and they were enforcing the Jewish workforce. But there was something very, very special with Dathan and Aviram, and that is when the Jewish people did not reach their quotas, the Egyptians would beat the Jewish people. But they would go to the Jewish policemen and say, okay, who deserves beating? The Dathan and Aviram, these Jewish policemen, they said, no, we're not telling them on our brothers. And what happens was, the Egyptian told them, says, if you're not going to tell us who was slacking off and who was not able to create the quotas up to par, then you're going to be beaten. And they said, so be it. And they got beaten instead. They took the beating instead of their Jewish brothers and sisters. So explains the Maral Diskin, based on this medrash, that anybody who is empathetic enough towards other people that they're willing to suffer to save others from being harmed, that is an extraordinary merit that we cannot even begin to understand. And this saved Dathan and Aviram from death. This gave them the ability that even though they were not the best people and far from it, but because they had this empathy, because they shared in the suffering of their Jewish brothers and sisters, that saved them from the death, to the point that they were even the ones that stayed in Mitzrayim after everybody left.